Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to the Space Between Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans behind the Dave Matthews Band. So if you are listening to this and you don't know much about the Dave Matthews Band has been putting on music for over 30 years. And I think for any band that has been around that long, you've got lots of fans that have just found the music, fans that found the music in 91, and then fans sprinkled out throughout the decades that this band has been giving us so much joy. And so every week I have a guest on the show to talk about how they found the Dave Matthews Band and what that looks like in their life. So today is like every episode. I have a guest. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where in the world are you, and what is your first memory of finding the Dave Matthews Band?
Well, hello, Renae, and everybody out there, and thank you so much for having me on your fantastic podcast.
Thank you.
My name is Kevin Peterson, and I am in the great town of Highland, Indiana. And for those that don't know exactly where that is on your little map, why don't you just go and draw a line in between Deer Creek and Alpine Valley, and we're right there, like smack dab in the center. So we're a Chicago suburb, and that is who I am. That is where I am. And how did I come across the Dave Matthews Band?
Yeah. What is your first, like, how did you hear about it?
Okay. Well, to kind of preface a few things, I grew up in a musical family, and my brother was a sax player, dad being a drummer, and us being kind of competitive brothers. I wanted to play another musical instrument too, but I wanted to play something different, so I became a trombone player. And so there was always music being played in our houses, in our home, and so I always listened to things that had horns in it, right? Mm-hmm. So when Under the Table came out in, was it 94-ish? And I remember hearing Ants Marching on the radio. I remember hearing Jimmy Thing. I remember buying I bought the compact disc back then. And then
yeah.
I mean, I had it in rotation. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, man. I mean, you got a sax player in there. I was drawn to it by the drummer, by listening to Carter. And I had a buddy of mine who, and I told a few folks this. I said, yeah, I'm going to say there's this one time at band camp story. and here it is. My great friend Dave Grove, when we were at band camp, he had this big box of cassettes, and they were all Grateful Dead shows. And I'm like, hang on a second. What's the culture of this? And he said, yeah, a lot of fans will record these shows and trade them without any charge. And he says, hang on a second. He goes, I think the Dave Matthews Band that you like listening to a few songs, they have that same culture. And I was kind of drawn to that and thinking, dude, that's freaking awesome.
It is.
And so fast forward to when Crash was released, the song that really put it over the top for me was Drive In, Drive Out. And I was like, hang on a second, man. This is not your standard 4/4 time type thing. The song's written in 6/8 and has badass drum syncopations and has just gnarly, you name it, it's there, right? Your harmonies of everything. And I was blown away by Drive In, Drive Out. And so that's the song really that kind of pulled me in and suckered me in. And I was in college, and a buddy of mine said, hey man, I just got back from seeing this band would blow your mind. And who was it? It was the Dave Matthews Band. Kevin, you got to see these guys the next time they rolled through. And so I had to wait until my first gig was, and I'm just remembering notes here and such.
Yeah, get the notes out.
May 30th, May 30th, 98, Alpine Valley. And I went with a bunch of college buddies. It was only one night. And that's when they only played Alpine one night.
I did not know they did that.
Mm-hmm. And I had to kind of go through like, oh yeah, we have certain websites now we could look at set lists.
We're so spoiled now. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it was a two-step opener. And you think about opening up a gig with a two-step opener.
Right.
People just lose their freaking minds, right?
Yeah.
And so that is how I came into the Dave Matthews Band, was being, of course, drawn to it through horns and Dave's quirky vocals. And like so many of your previous guests have mentioned, the early 90s were totally full of grunge rock, and Metallica was at their height, and you had every bit of grunge artists that everybody else has listed, and we all know who they are. But it was a breath of fresh air. Yeah. It was having acoustic rock, and it was having horns. It was having everything else, just like everybody else has said. So all that said, that is how I got sucked into the Dave Matthews Band. And even myself playing in multiple bands here and there, I was able to share a stage with my dad with a certain band here in the Chicagoland area for well over 20 years. And we played everything you've ever heard that has horns in it. And I was just bringing in Dave song after Dave song after Dave song.
Yeah.
Fellas, we got to cover this shit, right? And we had some older fellas in the band that said, we don't know if this is our swim lane, because we do a lot of like 70s and 80s style of music. And I'm thinking, all right, but like the bulk of people really want to hear this shit.
I think so.
And hell yeah. And so we were able to cover a few songs from the Dave Matthews Band. And I did vocals on Stay, which was weird because, of course, that song there doesn't have any trombone in it. So I was able to put my horn down and take the microphone. It was really fun.
Do you like singing? Is that something that you enjoy doing, or did you kind of find yourself having to do it?
Back in that band, it was kind of having... we decided to take a round robin approach to who is the lead vocalist, because the main vocal guy is having some vocal problems. So like, okay, who's going to grab the mic here this time around?
Right.
And so I would bring in a song and say, hey, maybe this is a good vocal pocket for this guy or that guy or myself. And so I bring in Stay, and we had 3 sax players in the band, of a tenor, an alto, and a bari, and shit, it just sounded so tight. It was fun. That was a fun song to cover.
Wow. Can you imagine knowing that way back then that you would still be following this band? I mean, is that something that you could have even dreamed that would be happening when it came to this music?
Hello, everybody. This is Dave Rich from the Eddie Casino Band out in Las Vegas. We're really excited to get this journey going, celebrating our music, our original music, on all platforms. We just released our first single over Labor Day weekend called Eddie Casino. If you're looking for new music, look out for our next single coming out to Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Apple Music. These guys in the band are really excited to get started playing music for you all. If you like Tom Petty, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Dave Matthews Band, Rob Thomas, Jimmy Buffett, Pink Floyd, Stapleton, Bare Naked Ladies, Goose, Billy Strings, Sting and the Police, a ton of influences that we bring to the table. Hope you enjoy our music and look forward to seeing you soon live on stage.
Yes and no. That's a great question to ask. Because if you think about, like, my buddy from high school, Dave, who introduced me to the Grateful Dead and the taper culture, and how long the Dead toured and played, and you start thinking about a lot of these really good bands that have been around for many, many years. I mean, hell, you start thinking about the Allman Brothers and so many of members that came and went with them, and I'm thinking that is a potential of the Dave Matthews Band, and we've already seen a lot of folks come and go with our favorite band here with DMB.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying, all right, yeah, it could have ended soon. It could have ended, oh hell, when Dave decided to go and say, I'm going to do my own record, right? When that whole kind of split, and I think a lot of us were nervous, and And that was actually kind of right around, what, 2000, I want to believe?
Oh, God. When did Some Devil come
Yeah.
out? Somewhere in that 2000, early 2000s.
Exactly. And my wife and I, amongst other friends, were like, dude, this is the beginning of the end.
I think a lot of people thought that. And I had never thought about that. I had never thought about that at all. And so you're the second person that has said there was some bit of fear associated when Some Devil came out, that was the beginning of the end, and that, so I'm glad to hear. I mean, I'm not glad to hear. That would have been a terrible time as a fan. Obviously, I didn't really get into the meat of the band until after that. So I didn't have that fear because I got into the future, right? They were back together after Some Devil. And so, I mean, what are your thoughts on Some Devil?
Right?
Jesus, right? I know. Is Some Devil I hear a lot of mixed reviews on Some Devil, and I do think that a lot of people cannot dissociate the fear that comes when they listen to that album because it brings back that time frame. But like musically, and since you're a musician, I know you've probably looked into who he brought in for that album and just that album in general. What are your thoughts about his solo album?
It was great. You had a little bit of a breath of fresh air, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had all different musicians come in, and that's when they did the Dave and Friends tour. He brought Trey in, and I was lucky to see them play in, it was December of 2000. Oh my God, yeah. Now that I'm remembering it. And if you think about one song off that record that totally does it for me, and I think a lot of people out there will agree, when you hear Sweet Up and Down, shit, that could have been a single, man. That has the energy off that record that you would hear off of any past or current Dave Matthews Band record. And so I thought that record was very well done. Mm-hmm. It was a little bit of a different avenue that Dave wanted to take musically and say, this is something I want to do that I feel like I may have had some shackles. I had some limitations with the entire group. And, when you have so many people together, nobody's going to agree.
Right.
Say, hey, we should do it this way, or write this song, or include this song, or exclude that one. And so I think Dave had his own free reign to say, listen, this is my record. This is how I want to have it done. And you've seen nothing but green lights, right?
Right.
And so, yeah. And
I think it was.
I remember. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I just think it's such a beautiful thing because they've married that into the Dave Matthews Band now, right? A lot of those songs that he did put out on Some Devil have really been incorporated into the band as a whole. And so it turned, his solo stuff was used later. So it wasn't all in vain, right? Like it was stuff that he could continue to use even now. I saw a show just recently in Europe where he played Some Devil. So those songs are still being played, but in a beautiful, different way, right? With, some other people alongside him.
And isn't it beautiful to hear the current setup of how it is?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, man, we are truly in a moment where everything is gelling and everybody is clicking very, very well. And you're saying, all right, this version, call it 2.0, 3.0, 5.0, wherever the hell we're at in the timeline, is pretty damn sick. So, But I kind of going back to your original question of how did you feel when all that happened? I remember well before Facebook and everything, the biggest way for all of us fans to communicate was through the chat boards on the Warehouse. And when that was launched in '98, I remember spending hours upon hours in chat rooms and going back and forth and talking with people. And that was really the number one way for all of us nationally and internationally to connect and to share our ideas on these things. But that's also where we also met a lot of people saying, hey, I'm coming to Charleston. I'm coming to New York City or the Gorge or whatever, and getting ideas. And now we have a billion different Facebook groups that are able to share those ideas and such. Kind of going again back with Warehouse chat rooms and things. That was like our way to get tickets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And now I think the ticket situation is much, much different. And it also we're able to trade shows. Mm-hmm. So kind of piggybacking on the taper conversation and that taper culture that I loved so much, I remember saying to some friends, I'm like, dude, I could do that shit. I could be a taper.
Yeah.
And my then girlfriend and now wife of 20 years, Julie, said, honey, you do that. That'd be great. And I remember for Christmas, my mother got me these are all recorded way back in the day on Sony mini disc players.
Hell
And
yeah.
so yeah, the first show I'm again looking at the notes here. First show I ever recorded was July 6th of 2001 at Soldier Field.
Wow.
And so you had Buddy Guy opening up for him. You had the Lovely Ladies. This was during the whole, just before, right around when Every Day was released, but when Lily White Sessions were rolling pretty hard. And the quality of those recordings were absolute crap.
Do you still have them? Like, are they in your possession still?
Yes, I do. I still have a
yes.
working Sony mini disc player, and I remember talking to a guy when we were camping at Deer Creek, this tremendous campground that is no longer there called Dead Creek, and I was talking to this taper, and he's like, Kevin, what kind of rig do you use? I'm like, I do on a mini disc recorder, and he said, oh, I remember when I did that back in the day. And so when I would find, like, a day or two later, there would be, oh yeah, don't worry, we could always find the show in less than a week with tremendous recording quality. And so I'm tipping my cap right now to every taper and every couch tour person that selfishly gives their time and has to protect their microphone and go in early and go through all the security checks and whatever it takes. And then for those that, like our guy Darren Baldwin, that both you and I know, and
yes,
and you know, shit, we all know that here he was through Europe on the rail, and he's singing along and doing his thing. Well, that takes
so great.
That takes a lot of time and dedication. Exactly,
it does.
And so, major props to all those folks that selfishly give their time.
Yes,
and
thank you so much.
Sharing.
Yeah, we're so lucky. I mean, we do live in a great time as far as technology goes, and so there's many more ways that music is accessible for you and I. But obviously, back in 1991. They did not have the technology that we do now. So, you know, as the band has gone on, boy, have we seen a shift in technology. I mean, talk about tapers from the old days being out in the crowd, literally putting the audio on a tape cassette. Then we move forward to those mini disc and those CDs. And then we move forward to, you know, having the internet, right? Like the creation of the internet has happened during the life of this band. I mean, that right there is like, what the fuck, right? Like this band has been through every hurdle, and its fans have just continued to keep pushing forward. And that pushes us to keep learning new technology ways, right? Like, I don't have a fucking clue. Here we are on a podcast now in 2024 talking about the Dave Matthews Band, right? So we keep finding a way, but it's because we're passionate about this music, but also this band has yet to stop changing what they're doing. Like, it's a constant, like, look what we're doing now, look what we're doing now, look what we're doing now. And so, I mean, what is the hook about this band that keeps you and your wife coming back for more?
I would say two things. Number one is, without a doubt, and I think a lot of us out there will agree, the fans, the other fans, the people, the groups of people we meet, tremendous souls, right, that are now have become like family to us. I think of our friends Brian and Kristen and their two little boys, and we are aunts and uncles to these kids, right? And so we go to shows all over the U.S. and I've been really lucky to meet some fabulous friends that are lifelong friends through meeting them in the weirdest of places.
Give us an example. Come on, let's talk about it.
Okay. So this is arguably the craziest thing. So here's Julie and I. This was August of 2000.
Okay.
We were dating, and at the time, I was very naive to Alpine's camping situation. I was thinking, all right, cool, load up the car full of a shitload of camping gear, head up there, we'll find a spot to camp, we'll be fine. And Julie says to me, well, as we're driving up, which is about an hour and a half drive, where are we camping? I'm like, we'll find a spot, we'll be good. And we get in the parking lot. And as soon as we get out of the car, I've got a barrel of pretzels in my arm, and I hear the song "Life by the Drop" by Stevie Ray Vaughan being cranked to the loudest decibel, like 4 rows of cars the opposite way. I say to Julie, I'm like, honey, I'll be right back. Stay right here. And I get to this group of folks, and they are arm in arm singing "Life by the Drop" by Stevie Ray Vaughan and passing a bottle of Jack Daniels and a bottle of Jose Cuervo and instantaneously my jug of pretzels. And as soon as the song is over, they all scream, "One more time!" And they sing the song again.
Oh my God.
The song's over, and for the second time, and they say, "Who the hell are you, man?" I'm like,
just showed up in the parking lot.
Yeah. And I'm like, "I'm sorry, my name's Kevin. My girlfriend Julie is, a few car rows away." Like, well, bring that girl over here and party with us. Like, because, as a lot of us know, Alpine Valley is a very sacred ground. It's where Stevie Ray Vaughan's helicopter crashed and where he ultimately passed away at his final show there. And so, so we go to the show, and oh, I'm sorry, while we were tailgating, they said, "Well, where are you guys camping tonight?" Because back in the day, we camped all over the place.
Yeah.
And we said, "Well, dude, we have nowhere to camp. We're kind of homeless right now." And they said, "Well, just follow us back to our campground after the show, and we'll help you, get through." I'm like, "Great." So after the show, and for those that have not been to Alpine, a lot of the campgrounds are really spread out. They could be 10, 15, 20 miles away from the venue.
Holy shit.
So So I think they've probably found like the furthest campground away, probably a solid like 30-minute drive. And Julie's like, "These assholes are going to fucking kill us. They're going to stab us.
You're going to be murdered."
Like, no. Yeah, we are going to end up on the news, right? We're like missing, an APB out on Kevin and Julie. So, no, man, they helped us pitch our tent. It was late. We started drinking, sitting around a campfire. We wake up in the morning. I then had a bartending job that I was supposed to go to work the next day. And I told them, like, "Sorry, guys, but we got a boogie." And they're like, no. You guys are staying for night 2. Here are tickets for night 2. You're joining us. We're partying all day here at this campground. We're then going to go to the lots at 3 o'clock when they open up or whatever. And 2 of those people stood up at our wedding.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Oh, that's a great story. Oh, yeah. You met a dude.
Our buddy Brian. Yeah. And like everybody had these weird ass nicknames. And so it's like, "Who's this guy?" "Oh, that's Sexy Bitch." So yeah, Brian is, I'm like one of the only dudes that still calls him Sexy Bitch. And then Sexy Bitch and his wife Kristen, but we called her Kook. So Sexy Bitch and Kook. And then our friend Megan, who's never really had a Yahoo name, but she now lives in Port Angeles, Washington. And so all said and done, they've been tremendous friends of ours for a very, very long time.
Yeah,
and our friend... Yeah, and our friend Chris DeFrancisco, and a lot of us that have been to Mexico know this guy because he had a big sash for his 100th show last year, 2 years ago. Yeah, he became our travel buddy. And so Chris D, this is the guy, every tailgate, him and his sister, Amanda, they make probably between 500 and 1,000 Jell-O shots. And
holy shit.
Oh, yeah. And so this guy goes, "Shit, KP," and my initials, KP. He's like, "KP, how are we going to make these Jell-O shots in Mexico, man? Because it's kind of tradition. It's kind of what we do."
Right. It's your thing.
Yeah, the light bulb goes on. And he's like, "Hang on a second. We've got a coffee maker in the room. I could use that to create hot water." And la-di-da. He comes down with a whole entire tray of Jell-O shots, and we're doing Jell-O shots in the pool. And people are like saying, "Where the hell do you guys get these Jell-O shots?" And
wow.
Christine goes, "Well, where there's a will, there's a way."
Coffee pot Jell-O shots.
Pot Jell-O shots. Yeah, my lady. Coffee pot Jell-O shots.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just thinking outside of the box. You're getting things done. You're party starters, right? Like nothing's gonna stop you. You're like MacGyver in the DMB. You're like finding a way.
Yeah. So that was part one of the answer. Your question is what brings you back, and the friends. That's connections one. The second is, I would say, the anticipation of not knowing what you're going to hear or who will join them on stage. And so, kind of consulting the notes here, if you think about when they always had an opener before they did the 2 sets thing and everything, and kind of where they're at today. So 2013, I looked up some stats here, was the last year that they had consistent show openers. And after that, now we kind of always see, at the Gorge, they always have, like, this year it's Trombone Shorty, amongst others. And so us seeing so many of these awesome opening acts, and that moment of like, for example, being at the Live in Chicago show where Victor Wooten plays on 41, and good golly, is that version just amazing.
Yeah.
And Maceo Parker, he's the saxophone player from James Brown, playing on What Would You Say. And so just all these artists that would join them from time to time. And so now, like, that drug for me of going to these shows, like, okay, what other artist is in town? Who can join them?
Yeah.
And so I think that when they did I don't know if it's a live tracks or one of, like, the Warehouse CDs, when Brandi Carlile joined them at Deer Creek for Spoon. Still, like, right now, man, total goosebumps, man.
Yes.
That moment. And here she was singing that, and that's the first time that we've ever heard a female vocalist outside of Alanis Morissette sing and hear that. And so, man, when she came in on her verse that she came in, the entire place just went bonkers.
I'm sure.
And watching her jump up and down at the very end when Jeff Coffin and Carter are doing their back and forth jam, she's bouncing up and down and clapping her hands like she's the fan in the crowd watching these guys do their thing. Yeah. She was nerding out for that shit just as hard as we were.
Absolutely.
And those moments are what keeps us coming back. And so,
yes.
Julie and I, and amongst so many others, have been lucky to see so many of these awesome opening acts from, just created a list here. So, you ready to go for rapid fire?
I want to hear every single one.
Okay, so from our gigs, these are the openers that we've been so lucky to see them either open or also join them.
Okay.
G-Love and Special Sauce, George Clinton and the Parliament Funkadelics, Humphreys McGee, Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings. God rest her soul, Sharon. She fought a hard fight against cancer. The Black Crowes, Willie Nelson, Poi Dog Pondering, Maceo Parker, Government Mule, Indigenous, Angelique Kidjo, Mr. Buddy Guy, Robert Randolph and the Family Band. God, I love listening to Robert. OAR, Macy Gray, Zach Brown, Jason Mraz, Warren Haynes, Gary Clark Jr., Brandi Carlile, and Grace Potter.
Jesus.
So
what a list.
I've been missing and so you have all those, and when they would collaborate and say, hey, let's bring so-and-so on stage, like when he brought in Angelique Kidjo at Soldier Field, I think that was that. But shit, but bringing in Buddy Guy. So Buddy Guy, for those that don't know, is an absolute Chicago blues icon. If you get a chance to come to Chicago, go to Buddy Guy's Legends. It's a very small blues club that's really, when he plays the Northerly Island, whatever it is, Charter One Pavilion, whatever it's at. So Buddy Guy's Club is not too far away from there. So folks, please go to this guy's club and hear some amazing blues artists. But Buddy joined him on stage with the lovely ladies for Angel.
Wow. Oh my God. When was the last time we heard Angel? I don't know. I mean, we could look that up because we have so many resources now, but it's been a hot minute, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. Damn. I can't imagine. I'm going to have to look up. Do you think that was recorded? I mean, is that going to be an easy find thing for the Buddy Guy with in on Angel? Would that be easy?
The answer is I don't know, but I know an answer that I have a moderately acceptable mini disc recording of that.
Hey,
I recorded that show.
We got the mini disc. Well, hey, Kevin, let's take a break just a second.
Sure.
We're going to get back to your story, but I've got part of season 5. Something I wanted to incorporate was a new thing that is called a Google voicemail. And if you've never heard of this, it is a phone number where you can call into the show. Think old school radio days where you would call in and you would ask for whatever song, or you would dedicate a song to whoever. I wanted to go to old school stuff. So this is a new way to do old school stuff. So it's the space between voicemail. You don't get anyone. No one answers it. You just get a voicemail. You leave a message. So this is a way that you can call in, ticket tips. We love to hear things like that. Shout out to your groups. What's your favorite venue and why? And if you watch my socials, I'll ask questions daily. You can call in and give that number. So each episode in season 5, I'm going to play a couple of those voicemails. That way we can I love to hear unique perspectives, and that just gives us some more talking points. So guys, if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, I've got something to say, definitely call in. It's 479-259-1630. So Kevin, let's listen to a couple of voicemails and then we're going to get back to your story, because I know that based on the pictures that you've sent me, you've met some of the band members, which is a great story. I love that story, but so let's see here. I'm going to randomly pick these because I don't have my glasses on. So I can barely read right now. Okay, let's see. Okay. This is from Victoria. So let's hear what they got to say.
Hey, Renee. My name is Victoria. I am 31, almost 32. Upstate New York is my home. SPAC is my home venue. I've been going since I was in high school. What keeps me coming back for Dave is definitely just the vibe and the atmosphere and just that sense of like total community when you're at a show, and just that like it's a safe space to be yourself, to be happy, to be free. And obviously we love the music. Cheers.
I love that, Victoria. Thanks for sending that in. So let's talk about the feeling at a show. I mean, what are some feelings that come up for you at any given show, Kevin?
What's up, everybody? This is David with the Dave Matthews Tribute Band. We're a nationally touring tribute to DMB, playing shows all over the country and beyond. Our goal is to bring you back to the classic sound that you fell in love with in the 90s and the 2000s, featuring a violin, saxophone, and maybe some keyboards sprinkled in as well. You can find out information about all of our tours and shows by visiting thedmtb.com. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram and other socials by searching the Dave Matthews Tribute Band or the DMTB. Hope to see you on the road and enjoy the Space Between podcast.
Well, I would say beforehand of saying, all right, let's call the opener. In that moment when you actually call the opener, you're like,
yeah,
cool,
I love that game. I love it so much.
But I would say when we go to a show, we know for the next 3 hours or thereabouts, we are going to all of our troubles go away. Mm-hmm. It's like going to music church right there, and we're everything, and we're getting a good message of a good vibe, and it's really a place where all your troubles just melt away, or just like Pantola Nagapampa, right? And so that right there is probably a good idea of how I think of how I feel about a show, and I
think you can get any emotion. I think I've heard many emotions that have been found, whether that's love, anger, acceptance, such a broad thing, but music has that power to kind of tap into feelings you didn't even remember that you had, take you back to a place that you could have never gotten back to had it not been for that music. So it's such a powerful tool. And I think, hearing other people say those things is kind of like confirmation to us that you're like, okay, we are not those nerds. We are not those weirdos. Like there's a lot of people doing the same things that we are doing, finding comfort and joy in music. And so let's listen to one more. This is from Jen Ryder in Rhode Island.
All right, Jen.
Hey, this is Jen Ryder from Rhode Island. Just calling in to let you know what keeps me coming back to the band all the time. It's them. It's the guys. It's their energy. It's the joy in their faces as we watch them play every single show. I could go see them play every single night for a year and not get tired of them. They are just the happiest bunch of musicians up there, enjoying themselves, enjoying their craft, playing for fans every single night as if they haven't been doing it since 1991. They're amazing. I love every show. I love the difference of every show. I love the energy of the crowd. I just love being there. It just makes me happy. And just seeing them as happy as they are every time keeps me coming back for more.
I love that. Thanks, Jen, for calling in. So guys, yeah, definitely call into this Google voicemail. This show doesn't work without people helping me. Obviously, this is the story of the fans. And so each episode has to be a new fan or we don't have a show anymore. So definitely, if you want to be on the show, you can find me on socials, message me that way. Anybody can apply. You don't have to have been to 100 shows, or you don't even have to have been to one. You just got to love the Dave Matthews Band. But also, I'm open to talking about why you don't love the Dave Matthews Band. I'm very open in having that conversation. So if you know someone that doesn't love the band, let's get a group session. We're not going to debate it. It's not a debatable topic. We're just going to talk about, okay, let's talk about why. I would love that conversation.
Yeah, I've got a buddy of mine, Sean, absolutely goes, there's KP again, going to another Dave Matthews show. And it's not his swim lane. It's
that's okay. It's not for everyone. Yeah. I know that. But I think it's music worth talking about, because it is hard to now in the past, whenever, it is hard to find a band that is like this one, because of all of the types of music that are incorporated into making this one sound. And so, I think it is attractive for a lot of people. If you like rock star guitar playing, okay, we can do that. Do you like sometimes to have that church, let's go to church feel? Okay, we can do that. Do you like the sound of a sexy saxophone? Okay, we can do that. I mean, it's like, what do you want? I have it for you, right? And so I love the debate of like why someone doesn't like the music. Matter of fact, I just had someone on the show, and that was open and to saying, I love the band, but I don't like Dave's voice. I'm open to hearing whatever you guys. So guys, call into that voicemail and leave any tips, tricks, points, trivia, because we're going to do that here in a little bit, Kevin. Maybe you didn't even know it was coming, but the trivia is coming. We're going to jump back into your story though, because I want to know, you met how did the whole wife situation, because it sounds like obviously you're both fans. Now, when you're dating, you decide to get married. I mean, Dave's just been a part of your whole marriage. Is that right?
Yeah. So when I met Julie, I met her at work. And our offices were on opposite sides of the hallway, to which we called the moat. It was like this big moat. And she heard me playing a show from like one of the first tapes I'd traded. It was like a Tracks or a Flood Zone show. And she walks across the she goes, is this a Dave Matthews bootleg show? I'm like, hell yeah, baby. I'm like, are you a fan? She goes, I love these guys. She goes, I saw him play at Soldier Field the year before, opening up for Neil Young. And I was like, get out of here. All right, we could talk more. And of course, she's a very attractive lady too, so I wanted her to stay.
It was a win-win.
Oh yeah, exactly. She's waving right now. She doesn't ever use it. Honey, you're gonna have to stand behind me.
It's all good.
Yeah. So
it's good.
Here we are. Yeah, exactly. So that's how we we realized we had something in common, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she then attended another show at Soldier that I was not attending at the time, and all I wanted to do was just be there with her. I'm like, oh my God. And so, Julie and I, we don't have any kids, so no bambinos for us. Our kids have 4 legs and tails that wag.
Yeah.
So, it allows us to travel a little bit here and see different venues and meet some of our friends at their home turf, right? They're saying, hey man, the next time you're in our neighborhood, you gotta stay with us, right?
Hell yeah.
And likewise, they stay here with us, and so or we stay with them. So all said and done, her and I have we're lucky to do a really interesting run of shows to celebrate her 100th and my 100th on the same tour.
So when is it? When is it going to happen?
It already happened.
Or did it already? Oh, okay. Tell us. Tell us about that.
It happened in 2019. So what happened was we're like, hang on a second. We're doing the math, and it's really hard because before we started like counting shows and how a lot of folks do that now, and I was like, hey, and I really got to, and her and I had to do some real heavy like thinking of like, all right, how many total shows and this and that, and where were we, and where did we travel and such. And so we like, hey, this is going to happen on the same tour. And I only had one more show attended than her at the moment. And so we started off going to the Deer Creek shows, and then there was a space, and then Tinley Park, Illinois. After that were 2 shows at Alpine, and the second night of Alpine was my 100th. And from there, it was crazy because like we both took off like 2 or 3 weeks of work to do this shit. It was just bonkers.
Hell yeah, it's a celebration.
So, yeah, and so the next day after Alpine, I think we had a day off, and then they played at Pine Knob, which is now DTE or whatever the hell they want to call it up there. And so that was Julie's 100th. And so after that, we hopped in the car and drove across the border into Canada and said, hey, let's go see him in Toronto. And so folks, yeah, I for everybody out there who's seeing him in Europe right now and how the crowd is different in Europe, it's very similar to that in Toronto. And Dave will say a couple of unique, political things here and there, to which he did, and in saying something, hey, I understand that, things are a little bit different now. And so after that, we leave Toronto and we go to SPAC. And that was our first time going to SPAC. And like a lot of those have said, hey, make sure you have pavilion seats. The lawn is really tricky.
The lawn is tough.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And at that point, I was so fucking tired. I remember laying down in the lawn, and after that long run at night 2, and I'm like, I'm just going to lay down because I'm bushed.
What a run, though. I mean, these are the days.
9 shows in 12 days is what that was. So, yeah, so Jules and I, we get along extremely well, along with our buddy Chris D. Francisco, Chris D., who Mr. Jello Shot. Coffee pot Jello Shot, dude.
Hell yeah.
And, yeah. And so, yeah, that's right. So, Julie and I have talked about this. If we take away the Dave Matthews Band out of our relationship, we would still have the love of live music,
of course,
of other bands and other artists and such. But we know that at some point, there is going to be that time where the band will disband and something will happen. I mean, we all know where Carter's at with his age, but I hope that dude keeps on drumming like Charlie Watson with the Rolling Stones.
Medicare pays
forever.
well. You got good health insurance, Carter.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we all know that there's going to be that moment, right?
Yes.
And so we want to try to go to as many shows as we can. And this year we're taking a break. We're not going to be as aggressive. At one point we would average 6 to 8 shows a tour. And now we're this year, the only tickets we have right now are Bourbon and Beyond. So we
Hell yeah.
One, I think you're going to that too, right?
The Space Between Podcasts will be at Bourbon and Beyond.
Yeah, you will. That's right. And so, on top of that, of the Space Between Podcasts being at Bourbon and Beyond, one of our mutual friends, Brian Brown, from Mexico, Mr. Bearded Brian, he is going to try to get you to do some form of podcast from the parking lot of Alpine Valley. So...
This year, next year?
No, this year. If you are going to Alpine this year,
I'm
my friend,
not.
are you
I'm going to be in Alaska.
Oh, son of a gun. Alaska's a good place to go to.
I know.
Now, this is a bucket list for the podcast because I know damn well you'll be alive and pumping and the podcast will be thriving well.
I hope so.
In 2025, of course.
Yes.
We will do a live podcast from the mayhem of the yellow. Was it the yellow parking lot, dear?
No.
It's the blue parking lot. Yeah.
The green.
Or the green. Oh, down
where's that?
Colors of the spectrum of the parking lots.
Yellow,
so the unique thing about Alpine Valley is they have color-coded parking lots, and some the blue lot. Spoiler alert for those that want to know. Easy in, easy out, and you're not in the sea and abyss of parking forever. The blue lot's where it's at. So they have the blue, the yellow, the green. Yeah. So there you go.
Well, Blue, I'm out to get you as soon as I can get to Alpine. Yeah, my tour this year, last year was a record for me in many ways, and so this year is going to look a lot different. I am just doing a few because really trying to focus on my family. They are just at those key ages for needing and wanting to hang out with them. And so I am doing some more family stuff this year, but that doesn't mean that the podcast is stopping just because I'm not at a concert, because look, we're not at a concert right now. And here we go. The space between is working. So, okay, let's take another time out because I want to do some trivia with you because, you've been around for a while. I think it can be fun. This is how this podcast kind of spawned, I guess. Back in COVID, I started a group so that we could do Dave Matthews Band trivia. I love trivia. I love every little pop-up trivia, whether it's like the 2000s, the Office trivia, like movies, shows, whatever. So I started the Dave Matthews Band trivia back during COVID, and that is what evolved into this podcast. So I have a literal binder. Everything is typed inside. So I've just got to, I collect trivia questions. So if you've got some later, definitely share those with me. I'll add them to the book and then give you a shout out every time I use it. But if you guys have a trivia question, something that I don't read off today, which I'm only going to do 2 or 3, because I know that Kevin doesn't want to be on here for 2 hours doing Dave Matthews Band trivia, although that doesn't sound terrible.
Shit, we can talk about this until the sun rises, girl. You know that's right. Come on.
So guys, 479-259-1630. And that, again, just goes straight to the voicemail so you can leave some more trivia. But okay, Kevin, let's see here. I just found some great questions and then I closed my book to show you how cool it was. And so now I've lost my spot, but I'm going to find it because, okay, let's see. I'm not going to start easy on you. I feel like you're a very seasoned fan. I'll say that. So I feel like I can just give you a little bit more of a challenge than I would with some other people. So these types of questions are going to be called Name That Song. I'm not going to give you song lyrics. I'm going to give you descriptive words, could be a sentence, just descriptive words. And with those descriptive words, you're going to try to give me a song title. Now that probably sounds crazy, but let's start slow.
Okay.
Okay, no, actually, these are actual song lyrics. So, okay. In the world, your balloon, peeping Tom for the mother station.
That's satellite.
That's satellite. That's right. Okay, so maybe that was a bit easy. Okay, let's go a little bit further. I swear by now I'm playing time against my troubles. Oh, I'm coming slow but speeding.
Number 41.
Number 41. If you give, Kevin, you begin to live. Where's that from?
If you begin to live, you might die trying.
You might die trying. Yeah. Oh my God. That song is like, oh. And I have that is one of those songs where I go, okay, I can give you the version of that song that I prefer, right? Like there's some intense ones.
Can I do turnabout's fair play on this one with you, girl? Can we play this here?
100%. Yes, let's do it.
Above all things, if kindness is your king, then heaven will be yours before you reach your end.
Mm-hmm. Are you wanting me to name the song? Oh shit.
Yeah, come on. Hey, you're putting me on the spot. Let's play some
I know. I'm singing it.
And let the dead man. What does a dead man do?
I can hear like the horns. Don't tell me.
I'm sorry. Tell me if you want.
I know you put me on the spot. No. Okay, I'm gonna.
It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite lyrics. I mean, if you think of it, what a great lyric is that? Above all things, if kindness is your king, heaven will be yours before you reach your end.
Don't tell me. Please don't tell me. Because it's going to come to me and I'm going to be like, fuck, there it is. Okay. I'm going to continue. I'm going to be thinking because I can somehow do 27 things at once. I don't know how. Okay. First time I saw you, you did me that way. What should I say? I saw you laughing and I was afraid that I might get in the way.
Oh, shit. Now you're killing me on this one.
No, I know. It's so hard to hear lyrics.
Oh, man.
What is it? First time I saw you, you did me that way. What should I say? I saw you laughing, and I was afraid that I might get in the way.
I concede. I'm thinking. I know it's not Old Dirt Hill, because the first time I kissed you, I lost my legs. I keep on mentally going back to that right now, and I'm totally foobar.
That's okay. That's okay. We can come back to it if you need to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you want me to tell you, or you want some time to think?
Yeah.
Okay. It's Stolen Away.
Stolen Away. Shit. Yeah.
It's like you hear it and then you're like, oh my God, I'm such a moron. Like it's so hard. It's so hard.
You have to hear it. You have to.
You do. That's what makes the trivia hard, though, is hearing it out of place, right? It makes it so.
Yeah, that's a bathroom song for me. Let's go get another beer and go to the bathroom and yep. But teach their own. I'm not going to yuck somebody's yum.
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna move different kinds of questions because I like lyrics, but lyrics are hard for me.
Yeah.
Okay, what song? Well, shit. What song is this? We'll do one more. Needle to the vein, take this needle from the vein, my friend.
Because my head won't leave my head alone. It's off of Under the Table. It's not typical. It's Rhyme and Reason. Yeah.
Rhyme and Reason. That's right. You got it.
It's been a long day. So I'm thinking, all right, come on, synapses connect so I can remember.
Okay. Yeah. Let's definitely move away from the lyrics. Okay, so who played the banjo in the album version of Don't Drink the Water?
Oh, man. So lucky to hear this moment live. That's where we're going back to this. Mr. Bela Fleck.
Correct.
And that nerd moment. When we talked about dudes joining the stage for a hot minute.
Yeah.
When Bella joins and just like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like
people, he did come out, I believe it was SPAC 2023, I think. Sometimes they cross hair and I'm like, where was I? But I think he came out sometime in 2023 and I was there. And it was one of those moments that it was an audible, like, oh my God, from the crowd, right? Because if you don't know a lot about that band, I encourage you to kind of dig deep in that. Of course, Jeff Coffin was part of Bela Fleck, but just their sound, it's a great sound. It's a very unique sound. I think what they have is really cool. And so definitely check out Bela Fleck. Okay. Let's see. Can you tell me who their longtime keyboard player was? Who is not currently the keyboard player.
Well, you had Butch Taylor, but to throw another nerd thing out, back in the days of 91 of the Tracks and Flood Zone shows, and you could hear, so if you were able to get your hands on some of these tapes, and I don't know if some of the live tracks, if they even did a live tracks from 90 or 91, I think they might have done that. His name was Peter
history.
Greiser. Yeah,
yes,
so dude,
that is correct.
Yeah, it's great to hear when Julie and I say, "Oh, that's young Dave's voice," right? And he's like, "Mr. Peter Greiser."
Yeah, I mean, Dave is one of those voices that obviously has changed over the years. But yeah, when you hear it and you've been listening to the band for a while, if you listen to an early recording, you automatically go, okay, that's 90s, that's 2000s or whatever, because his voice does sound very different. But obviously he's 30 plus years older. So of course, every single one of us, our voices have changed, thank God, in the past 30 years, right? So, it's been cool to watch their growth, just the change within the band, and what a time to be alive. What a time to see them really, I will say it, at the top of their fucking game. I mean, they are killing it.
Yeah.
The world wants to see this band and they are still on fire. So, I want to close by, do you have any shout outs? Like, who are some people that, I know that you and I are in like a chat group together. I think it's called like the Bowa group. And so is there any people you want to shout out to, just because they're going to be listening to this?
Oh yeah. So the person of the BOA, or they call it BOA, just acronym for Best of What's Around, our friend Holly. So I just call her Clemson Holly, man, because she's like the biggest Clemson nerd on the planet. And so shout out to Holly, because she's the person that actually originated that group. and we all met in like in a poolside area at Sunrise in Mexico. And so like, oh yeah, you can hang out with them. Just actually, that group has just grown to where it's at. So massive shout out and props to her, and Brian and Jenny Brown, also part of that group, and Darren. Thank you so much, my good brother, for being that rail fun friend that does our couch tour stuff. Who do I want to also give it some shouts out to? Without a doubt, my lovely wife Julie, because we've danced in the risk of each other. We have, and that should have been our wedding song. Damn it! And we chose some horseshit country song. So, anyway, oh yeah.
I'll let me get in that one. Let me get in that conversation.
Well, what was it? I mean, I have to know, what song was it?
What was our wedding song? We don't even know what our wedding song
was.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I don't even know what it was.
But it was a country song.
You don't want to dance to it because
I forget what it was. Was it From This Moment? I think it was. Yeah, something like that.
You can get a clear version of it.
Yeah. So all said and done, obviously, massive shout out to Jules, and Sexy Bitch and Kook, Christy, Mander D, man, way back in the day, Eric Simmons, Old Boy and Old Girl, all that the crew from St. Charles, Illinois, and that neighborhood. Man, there's a lot of folks that we've met on tour. I could go through like the phone list here of people that we met randomly, either at Gorge or Mexico or shit, just you name it. But at the end of the day, you think about where you will meet some of the best people, and it could be in a tailgate, in a parking lot. It could be at the show. They could be seat neighbors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it could be just somebody that you randomly park next to that has a fire dancer sticker on their car, and I encourage you, leave a note, put it on their windshield, say, hey, saw you parked. I hope if you're having a bad day, this puts a smile across your face, because somebody could be having one of the worst days, and that might be the shining moment in their day. So
that's right. I mean, we definitely are part of a fan group that it's amazing. There's a better word. It's not coming to me right now, but obviously that's what this podcast is about. And so thank you for coming on the show and kind of giving your journey, if you will, with this band. And so, this show again doesn't work without people coming forward to talk about their experience with the Dave Matthews Band. And your story doesn't have to be like, where you found yourself or how it saved you. Though there are stories like that, but everyone's journey is different. And it could be that you just really dig the music. And I love that story too. So guys, if you're interested in sharing your journey, definitely reach out, call the Google voicemail, do all of that. But Kevin, thank you so much for number one, for supporting what I'm trying to do with this, but number two, for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much. And hope to see everybody out on tour.
Absolutely. It's quickly approaching. So guys, be sure to watch all the socials. The Space Between podcast will be at the opening show. We'll be at Tampa, West Palm Beach, Houston, and Dallas. So look for those events on social medias. But in the meantime, guys, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band. Thank you, Kevin.